Hello, everyone. We're welcome back to the second episode of Planning the Future Together. I've done the first episode of Planning the Future Together, and I've got like seven important subtopic under Planning the Future Together. Where and how we're planning the future together during courtship. Like I told you earlier on in some of my old videos, I said I wrote a book on courtship in the right way. And during courtship, you will be going through so many phases. And one of those phases that is important to go through from this chapter 7 of this book is planning the future together. You and your partner during courtship in the right way. You need to start to plan your future together. So, from the first episode of this video, I talked about discussing long-term goals and values. I also talk about what I meant by discussing long-term goals and values. What are your goals? What are the things you emphasize to do personally? And what are the things you need to do together as a shared value? Your personal growth combined together to have a planned goal will give you a good future. So I also talk about aligning on financial expectation. What are your financial security? You need to talk about your financial security, which is very, very important. Just a minute, please. The financial security, I mentioned that in the first series of this video, that what are your financial plan? Your lifestyle will also determine your financial security. Sorry about that, just a minute, it's an alarm. Yeah, like I was saying, your financial security, I talked about it in the last video. And your lifestyle, what type of lifestyle do you envision? This will determine or affect your financial security. And I also cover the family. What are the kind of a family style you want to have? And parenting style as well. All these you need to talk about during your courtship. So now let's move on to the remaining four. The next one is aligning on financial expectation. In the first part of this video, I talk about financial security, which is your lifestyle. Do you want to go through early retirement? Your savings, are you the type or with your partner that you're good with savings? Or if you're not good with savings, maybe if you have the savings, you start to spend it. You rather invest the money. So that one is financial security. But this one is aligning on financial expectation. It's very important. This actually is good during your courtship because this will go a long way when you're married. So aligning on financial expectation, the first thing is transparency and open communication about finances and crucials. I love the word transparency and open communication because a lot of marriages have issues when it comes to aligning financial expectations. And this has to do with love, understanding, and trust. During your courtship, and when you're talking about your finances, you need to be able to know that, oh, my partner, I can trust my partner with money, or we can trust each other. There has to be trust. If you cannot tell your wife or your husband how much you're earning, and if you cannot come together naturally to support each other, there's a problem. I don't think that is love. I'm still going to talk about an issue that is going on about 50-50. That when you're married, that one is for another day. It doesn't have to be 50-50. It has to be the capability of individual earnings. If your wife earns double your money, then the bill shouldn't be 50-50. It's a natural conclusion. Or if the husband earns twice the wife, will it still be 50-50? I don't think the issue of 50-50 to come into marriage is a natural thing. I'm speaking from experience. Because of love, because of trust, because of transparency. You don't need to sit down and be having a meeting on, but that is for another day. Don't let me get this. I'm actually going to talk about it because I'm interested in talking about, because it's the in thing now that husband and wife living abroad, it has to be 50-50. It depends. It doesn't have to be 50-50. What if the wife is not working? Is it still going to be 50-50? But like I said, I don't want to be distracted. Let's continue with during courtship, how you're going to plan your future together. So I've mentioned 3. Another one is the aligning of financial expectation. There has to be transparency and open communication about financial, because finances are very crucial. Discuss your income. Yeah. If there is love, there is understanding, there is peace. Discuss your income, expenses and debt, and savings goal. So during courtship, these are the things you need to plan together. You discuss your income. It is not a secret. You're one. Sometimes a lot of people forget that when you come together as husband and wife, you become one. So I don't see any reason why the husband you keep his income, salary from the wife, or the wife keeping it. You're no longer one. You're 2 different people living in the same house. So during courtship, you need to be able to discover your partner. Is it the one that is so secretive when it comes to money? Or is it the one that is open when it comes to money? Money is just a paper. Don't let it control you. Don't let it consume you. And when you have enough, honestly, it's not going to be an issue that, I don't want my wife or my husband to know how much I'm earning. Then there's a problem. There is a problem. And before the problem starts, that is where you need courtship in the right way. So when you're in relationship, when you're courting, you would discover that I don't think I can actually settle with this person, because when it comes to money, it's being secretive. Money is a mammal, remember. Money is a spirit on its own. So if you cannot control money, if you cannot make money be your slave, then there's a problem. It is not all about money. It is about money, but not all about money. So you need to be able to align on financial expectation. You discuss your income, discuss your expenses, discuss your debt, and your saving goals. Okay, we're owing this. How are we going to pay it back? How much are we going to be saving for the future? How much are we going to be putting into the credit card? So all these things, you need to iron it out during courtship. And if you're able to do this, honestly, your marriage will have a solid foundation. So that is aligning on financial expectation. Another one is budgeting and spending. It's very important. This comes with discipline. So during your courtship, you need to be able to budget and control your spending and plan your spending. You can't just spend anyhow. You spend for necessity. How do you approach budgeting and managing finances? What are your spending habits? Are you the one that will go and buy a designer bag and then you refuse to use it? Or the designer bag is beyond your income? Or are you this type that spend more than you earn? All this have to come under your budgeting and spending. If you're planning a year to go for holiday 3 times, let it be 3 times. If you can afford it. Not that you plan a holiday for 3 times and you're doing holiday for 7 times. It's going to affect your budget and spending, because you've already planned ahead of the year. So budgeting and spending during courtship is important. And that is why that chapter 7 says planning the future together. So your budgeting and spending has to come in as part of your planning. And your budget and your spending should be strictly followed. It is called discipline. It is called discipline. So when you put all this into perspective during your courtship, when budgeting and spending come in your marriage, it is something you've been practicing initially before you go into marriage. It shouldn't be a lot of challenges. So budgeting and spending is important. Still under financial goals. What are your financial goals? What are your financial goals? Do you prioritize saving for a house, investing, or starting a business? You may not have the power to do the two together, so that is part of planning. Okay, let's save this money. Our first saving should go into buying a house, or our first saving should go into investing, or our first saving should go into business. I've mentioned three things now. Your first saving should go into, in case you cannot do the three together. So your first saving should either go into house, your first saving should either go into investing, or your first saving should either probably start a business. All this you need to be talking about during your courtship before you get married. Still on the finances, another one is debt management. Everybody is in debt. It's just that they have different capacities. Some are big debt, some are small debt, some are minor credit card. So, but we still need to know how to manage debt management. Do you have any existing debt? Most people have a student loan. How do you plan to pay back? So, how do you plan to manage it? Is this something you're going to combine together? And that is when love's coming. Because when you're married now, it's going to be like, oh, you actually hold that money alone. It is your personal student loan. I can't support you. I think when there's love, this should not be an issue. When you earn more, maybe one partner earn more than the other, student loan should not be an issue. If you're collecting twice your wife or your husband, and the need is, remember what I said earlier on, you've become one. It's just a matter of sitting down and talking about your budgeting and spending, how much you go for your student loan or any other debt that you've had probably incur separately or together. It is all about love and understanding each other. I remember when I got married, I came from Africa to UK, but my wife has been here before I came. I remember bringing some money. She collected some of the money to pay some debt. And I understand. It is all about love. It is about trust and transparency and believing in one another that things is going to work out better in the future. So all these things during your courtship, you need to plan it together. Debt management. How do we pay back the debt? Not how do I pay back the debt? So that is debt management, which is very important. Another area that I also talk about is even when another area that can affect your that can help to build a good solid foundation is before I go to that one, let me quickly talk about financial responsibility. How will you teach your children? Because that is very important. That what you're training yourself to be when you start to have children, you need to teach them how to be responsible financially. You don't have children now, but in the future, you need to be able to set that standard for your children, financial responsibility. So now let's go to another point that I talked about on that planning the future together. Is lifestyle and location preference. This affects marriage. Yeah, it affects your marriage, either positively or negatively. Your lifestyle and your location preference is very important. Discuss your preference lifestyle and where you envision building a life together. Your environment affects you. Consider your preference for housing, community, proximity to amenities. So when you want to live together, you need to talk about your location. Maybe a place that is close to the cinema or a good community. Your environment affects your lifestyle. Imagine you're walking into your house and your surrounding is so dangerous. You go into your house, you're panicking, and that is affecting your partner. So the community, you see, during courtship, this might not be a big deal to consider. It is very important. Or you live in a street where they keep kind of breaking into your house, and then you get upset, and this might start to affect your relationship. So don't just move into a house for acquiring house sake, for your own sanity. You know, there are some areas that if there's a lot of crime, it affects the price of the house. So you need to talk about Your location preferences as well. We need a peaceful environment. You need a place close to amenities, or you need a place close to church. All this you need to discuss during your courtship, so that by the time you're married, you know where you're moving to. So housing preferences is very important, because when you live in a good house, it creates a good home and a peaceful environment. Community and amenities, the people you relate with in your surrounding, will affect your marriage as well. Your neighbors, you need to talk about that as well. Are they good neighbors? Or are they neighbors that will be giving you headache? All these things during courtship, they might look minute, but they're very important. It's just like working in an environment that is polluted with hatred. You're going to the office in the morning, you're afraid. So even your working environment as well will determine your home, so that you don't do misplacement of anger. Maybe you're upset with your colleague at work, and you go home, you're transferring the anger to your partner. So the kind of job you're going to do as well that will make you happy, the kind of environment that you will live that will make you happy, is important. All these things affect marriage. There might be external factors, but the effect is just like the weather. When it's cold, a lot of people are moody. So it's the environment that is affecting them. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is already dark. Your spirit is low. All this affects you if you don't know. So your environment where you live is important during courtship. You pick preferences of living in a peaceful environment, an environment when you are home or you're not at home, your neighbor doesn't know. So you need to pick all those ones during your courtship. Also, another area that I cover is, let me quickly check. We've talked about open communication, which is part of planning the future together. You should always, in terms of open communication, both of you should be active listener. You should always listen to one another. Listen attentively to each other and try to understand individual viewpoint. Understand it. See the opinion of your partner. So active listening is important. Collaboration as well. Work together to find solution and address both of your needs and desires. That is called collaboration. You have to address your need. You are two different individual people. You have to address your needs and your desire. And another thing is in planning the future together, flexibility and adaptability. Being flexible, being able to adapt. Recognize that plans may need to change. When you're doing your courtship, there's some plans that might need to change over time, and you should be willing to adjust as needed. So that is called flexibility and adaptability. You need to be able to be flexible. You need to be able to plan change. It is normal. The only thing that does not change is change. You should be able to plan to adapt. That's a part of things you need to plan together for a better future. And after you've been able to cover all these steps, let me briefly go back to all these steps that you've been able to achieve, which are the 7 steps. The first one I mentioned is discussing your long-term goals and value. The second one is align on financial expectation, and that financial expectation has a lot that I covered there. If you go back to my whole video, you're going to see it. Exploring family planning and parenting. How many kids you want to have, what kind of school they will go to, what kind of career you will do, so that the family will be balanced. And then considering lifestyle and location preference. I just finished talking about that one. And then addressing potential challenges and compromises. Things change, so you should be able to adapt to a change or compromise. And then developing a shared vision for the future. What are the things you envisage to do together in the future? So these points are very important for you to iron out during courtship. And if you're able to cover all this during your courtship in the right way, then you're going to build a very solid foundation for your marriage. So, in conclusion, what I wrote in conclusion for that is just at the bottom here, let me just quickly go through the conclusion that there's no conclusion, funny enough, because planning the future together is ongoing. There's no conclusion. After courtship in the right way, you move into marriage, and then you keep going. You keep going. You keep discovering so many things. So, planning the future together has no conclusion. I'm sorry, I'm afraid. There's no conclusion. You just keep going. That's just life. You keep facing different good experience. Hopefully, there will be more good experience, more love, more prosperity than challenging. So please go through the first part of planning the future together, and the second part, which is the one I'm presenting now, which is on the chapter 7 of the book, Courtship in the Right Way. I'm going to talk about, in the middle of the video, I talk about 50-50, splitting the bills 50-50. In a very good home where there's love, there's peace, there's God, it happened naturally. There's nothing to split. But we'll leave that for another day. We're going to talk about that together. That the husband and wife have to split the bill 50-50. My own personal opinion, and based on the experience of my marriage, it's not a matter of 50-50. Because there's transparency, there's open communication, there's love, there's understanding. So it just comes naturally. But I'm going to leave that for another day. Thank you everyone for listening to me. Please press the like button and subscribe to my channel. That's one thing that keeps me going. And I appreciate everybody for their time. Thank you so much. And I wish you a very blessed day wherever you might be in the world. Thank you so much. We'll catch up later. Bye everyone. Bye.